Welcome back to Garage Life. Golf's outside. We're doing some work outside today, seeing as we've got a nice dry day on the forecast. Today we're going to tackle the main things of getting this engine bay clean. We are going to this wiring loom out of this bay into the car, and these front and rear subframes out from underneath, and get the exhaust out as well. So then after that we can, all the disassembly is kind of done. The head and the engine are here. I'm getting a few prices and quotes around rebuilding the head and the engine, so they're not for skimming and such. But while we get those prices, let's get these subframes out. There's 3 bolts underneath and there's 2 that connect it to the upper bits on the front. So let's undo all those bolts, see if this front subframe comes loose. So there is 2 13mm bolts on this slider kit here, and there's one 13mm bolt that holds the steering rack to the actual steering assembly, which goes in here. You have to undo these 2 bolts so the assembly will slide up when you pull it out of the actual steering rack. So I've done all the bolts underneath. I've done these 2 bolts here. This gonna get a jack underneath to support the subframe when I lower it, but the subframe I think is ready to come out. After a couple of hours, this is where we're at. We have got this side of the wiring loom through the hole, the subframe, front subframe out, all the gear linkages off. There's no way I'm going to be able to get this wiring loom through the hole, so I only need it in the cabin just to keep it nice and dry. So I've got those in there. Yeah, so what I've got to do now is pull the fuel wires through and this evac line, the evaporation line for the fuel tank, through to the front of the back of the car, get to the back of the fuel tank, and clean this engine bay up a little tiny bit. Not going to go to a massive great extent. Clutch cables in there. I'm going to clean inside here just to keep it nice and clean inside. Clean all this up, and then we can see what kind of engine bay we're working with. Also get these brake master lines to the back to the rear hubs. And now, yeah, we can then take the rear subframe out and the fuel tank out. It's all coming along pretty nicely. This took way to have, and I just decided to whack them through the empty holes where the brake booster used to be. They're all sitting on the floor over there now. But yeah, it's turning out alright. I've nearly got the car stripped. All that is remaining now is the rear subframe and the fuel tank, and then it's pretty much ready to start cutting and welding. So yeah, I'm just going to clean this bit a bit up, see what kind of state of the engine bay's in, and continue on. So underneath we got the fuel lines, and we got some fuel draining into a bucket. There is about a half a tank in the fuel line. This is the return line, so I'm just going to drain it now and then get the rest of the wires off. Taking the fuel lines off the fuel pump. It's free from the car now. Taking the evap line off the actual filler fuel cap up there. Evaporate, gets rid of any smells or fuel left around the thingy. Now this is free. It should be able to come over there, and that is the fuel tank out. Then we've got this big old gap here. Now we can looking at getting the subframe out, the rear subframe. Nice. That, as you can tell by my breathing, is the rear subframe out. Big old unit. Came all out as one. I took all the fuel tank over there out, I think I showed you that. But now underneath here, looking like a bear underneath of the chassis. Gotta get these fuel tank holders out the way, and then it's just a bear underneath. Get that heat shield out the way. It's coming along nicely. As you can see, all the rust in the arches. But yeah, let's clean up underneath here, get those last few lines off. They're the handbrake cables. Can't get those off yet because they're attached to the handbrake, but let's get the holders off and clean the rest of the underneath up. Here's me done for the day. We've got all of this shit out, all the subframes, front and rear, fuel tank. We've got about, don't know, 20 litres of fuel worth of fucking fuel in there, which would be nice in this fuel crisis if my car ran on normal fuel. We've got the engine bay semi cleaned up at the back there. We've got obviously the front subframe off, all down there. I've sprayed it with degreaser just to help clean some of the crap out. Here we've got the go man to the rear subframe. Obviously got no subframe now, and then no fuel tank. The fuel tank being out. Going on to the west side, we've got the most rust. Clean that a little bit out as well. Took the shifter linkage out, took the handbrake cables out. Just got to sort out putting these wiring looms in a bag or something, just so I can, when I come into doing this floor, they don't get nicked or cut or anything like that. But yeah, it's coming along nicely. Obviously now we're at a position where we can start cutting and then maybe look at doing some welding work. I've got a little bit more to clean up in the engine bay because I'm not exactly happy with how it is at the moment. But yeah, I hope you did like this video. If you did, remember to please like and subscribe. It's episode 8 or 9 I think now. And yeah, we've nearly done the full deconstruction of the car. Only a few more bits to get off now in the interior, sort out the wiring loom. And then we'll be back to a shell. It's going quite well. Pretty proud of myself. So yeah, if you did like this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.